the U18 Ukraine national team camp in aid of the Ukrainian Hockey Dream Foundation, making hockey possible for young players across Ukraine during a tumultuous time, of course. And this team, this U18 team, hasn't had a chance to be together in order to have a training camp and to build their squad for World Championship activity. So they're going to do that. They're going to have a training camp and a couple of exhibition games against U18 Alberta All-Stars March 27th and March 30th at the Max Bell Center in Calgary on hnlive.ca. And we're joined now by the Vice President of the Ice Hockey Federation of Ukraine, Alexandra Slatvitska. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you, Sean, for welcoming me. Thank you.
This is a great event, partnering with Hockey Calgary to bring the U18 team. Sort of tell me, how did this all come together?
I'm not sure that I can speak about that in a very short period of time, and because it is a huge story and huge background before that. Probably the first I should to mention that Ice Hockey Federation is good partner with Hockey Canada for many years, and Hockey Canada supports Ukraine, same as Canada as a country really supports Ukraine, and especially for the past 2 years, all the Ukrainians really feel this huge support of Canadians right now. We are very, very grateful for that, and me personally as well. But when we are speaking more about the tour and hockey by itself, so I should to mention that our good friend is Gord Miller,
right,
who's the TSM broadcaster, and also he is the member of the board for the Ukrainian Hockey Dream Foundation. From the first days of the full-scale war, he was very active in supporting the Ice Hockey Federation of Ukraine in different projects, and as well myself as a friend, and was really open to propose different kind of cooperations, how we can help right now Ukrainian kids to stay on ice, what we can do for our national teams, just to show people that we are still existent and that we still are fighting and doing a lot of different stuff to survive over here. So last year we did with him the under 25 Hockey Can't Stop tour. It was 4 games, exhibitional friendly games before the Winter Universiade in Lake Placid, New York State, 2024 Universiade Winter Games. Before that, we played with Saskatchewan University hockey team, then Calgary University team, Alberta University team, and Manitoba University team. Huge thank you once more. I want to say to everybody who supported us with those games, because coaches who first say, yeah, we are ready to do that, and then directors of athletics, they were, oh my gosh, what we are doing, okay, let's make it happen. But the huge support from all the people from those regions, they really helped us, and we saw that it's not only about the sport, it's more about some spirit of sport which can unite the people all around for some good purposes. It was really important for us, and special thanks to the Winnipeg Jets, to their owner, because we received the chance to play with Manitoba University team in Canada Life Center Arena. More than 10,000 of spectators came to the game. Probably in the history of Ukraine, it was the hugest game with so many spectators, and 4,000 of people over there. It was the refugees who were welcomed by the Ukrainian Canadian Congress.
Mm-hmm.
They were those people who came first ever time to ice hockey and who just came to Canada from the February 22, 2024. So it was a huge tour. We got the great impact, three NHL clubs, Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers, and Winnipeg Jets welcomed the team, supported it, and it was a huge, great experience for all the boys. So this year I came back to Gord again with the kind request that we can help our under 18 team, because still the situation is just coming worse. It's not coming easy or better over here. It's just like really hard right now for us to focus on sports part, because all our government, like all our people, we are all more focused how to defend our borders, how to fight for our freedom and independence. So how to help our fighters actually and our military. But the huge question is still to support sport national teams before their performance in different international competitions. So we did this. I just asked him for help to maybe we can create something before the 2024 IIHF World Championship in Denmark, in Frederikshavn. It's going to be 1A division where our team will participate. And he asked Sandy Edmonstone, who is the chair and president of Calgary Canucks, is it going to be possible if the under 18 team will get some friendly exhibition games over there with some kids same age from Alberta province? And that is how we agreed that maybe we can create something. We were in negotiations how we can do that. And now you can see that we're going to have practice training camp for the national under 18 team of Ukraine in Calgary from March 24 till April 1st. And between that, inside of this camp, is going to be 2 exhibition games. First on March 27, 6 p.m. time, and the other one is going to be on March 30, 12:30 a.m. And we are very, very expecting that. Again, it's not going to be only about the sport and sports preparation. Boys and coaches will be concentrated on that more, but same time we're expecting once more to inspire our refugees over there, to show Canadians how they can help us right now, because we're still in need of support and help. And the other goal is going to be to fundraise some money for kids programs over here, just to keep them staying on ice. I'm not like I see the impact of sports right now. We even increased the number of kids in youth sports schools all around the Ukraine, even in such regions, for example, as Zaporizhia. It's only 30 kilometers near the front line, but this year, more than 80 kids under the age of 12 came to start play ice hockey. It's a huge number for us. Why it's happened? Because we have provided them with the free hockey equipment, gears, and we also helped the city to reopen the ice over there. And for people from those regions, they do not have what to do to kids. Kids do not really understand that the war is going on. Their lives are continuing, and we need to provide them with much ordinary opportunities as we can, just to show them that the hope still exists to have a peaceful future for everybody of us. And maybe survive again. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's very powerful. And I guess how important has sports been, and an event like this, how important is it for those young players and for those who watch and for those who participate just to feel for a while like normal life can carry on despite what you guys are dealing with on a daily basis?
Yeah, it is. It's not about even that normal. It's just again about the hope to have the peaceful future, or because we do not have anymore the hope that we will get back our past in like the same conditions that we had, because we were very inspired, like especially my generation. We were inspired that we live in free independent country, that we can develop our own businesses, that we can implement different kind of scientific programs, different kind of innovational programs, but then just in one moment, in one day, even like, yeah, in couple minutes, everything changed, and like your life changed and the principles of your existence changed. And if we're speaking about all the world, like it's not only one war in this country. We have a huge military contracts all around the global world, but those people who are not living in such circumstances, they evaluate every minute of their life in another way. Yeah, you understand that you need to pay more attention to this minute, but it's another way. And now when we had and still have this very tough, even more tough right now circumstances, but we used a little bit to these challenging circumstances, more important became every minute to spend it with your beloved ones, to improve yourself, which with with every moment, to do your best with what you're doing, to be more kind, to be more patient, to respect more one each other, to take care of one to each other, to help one each other. All those things are became more valuable right now than just ordinary things that we used to. And when we're speaking about the sport as instrument, it's instrument for our under 18 boys who are gathering first ever time together, because we do not have in Ukraine more young national teams. So for them it's going to be first experience, and we're going to talk not only about the sports preparation, but we're going to talk a lot about team building, about their nationality, about the importance to perform on behalf of their own country, notwithstanding with those places where they have been during the past 2 years, because a lot of them are playing right now in North American different leagues, because they were enforced to leave their own country and to look for some safety places to stay. And a lot of them do not see their families for these past 2 years or even longer, because a lot of boys are also from the east part where the war started in 2014, and they were enforced already to come from those regions. So, but also for them and to speak that they will represent the country, and that they need to understand that any play they're playing, any team, doesn't matter where they are, they every time, every minute, they are representing their country, they're representing those people, those soldiers, so those heroes who are dying right now to secure their right to be free people and to have the options to choose what kind of sport to play, what kind of subject to study, or what kind of profession to choose, and so on. And hockey is extremely special kind of sport, because it's not only about the sport by itself, it's a lot about the people who are involved in that sport, people who are gathering. Like this is game when the team spirit goes beyond, goes forward and like says that you need to cooperate first, because you cannot play hockey by yourself alone. And this is also the meaning we wanted to show by this game to the people who will support that it's so important to be united. It's so important to help to each other, and in such very difficult circumstances that we are in great need to feel the support still right now over here.
So then how much does it mean to you? You mentioned the last tour and seeing the big crowds. So with the event coming up in Calgary, how meaningful is it for the players there, I'm sure, but for the people of Ukraine at home as well, to see the support from the crowd, to see the enthusiastic attendance? How meaningful is that when you see those images or those videos or watch that game?
It's all about the hope again, as I told you, the hope to have a good future, and that we are not alone in our fight, that we have something in future, a good one, that so many people around the world still support us. It's really important. And this camp is supported by our Ministry of Youth and Sports, and I already received after the first promotion that it's so good that you are still doing such kind of initiatives, and that we will see how many people are still sharing our pain for what we are going through right now, and that they are still understand that this is unfair war, and that we all need to stop it, because so many civilians, so many innocent people are dying every day for nothing, because there is no meaning for this war. It just people are dying, and we need to help and to stop that. And as much people will come on our events, on games, it will show again to all the world that we are not alone in our truth, and that we still can and have chances to win this war, or at least to stop it at this point.
It feels, it feels so much less important talking about just the hockey side of things when you talk so passionately about the message. But just from a hockey perspective, how valuable is this camp and these exhibition games for your players before playing in a world championship, when really they haven't had a chance to play together, they haven't had a chance to be in this kind of environment? How important is that for them before they go and play as a unit at a world championship, to have this experience?
Thank you, Sean, for question, and thank you that you are taking me back to hockey perspective, because it's really important, and we have started from that point. Again, a lot of our players are playing in North America. A lot of them, like so many Ukrainians under the age of 18, 16 years old, all around the US and Canada, they are participating in different kind of leagues, and it's so hard actually to choose the best ones from them, because the roster for the World Championship is only 22 players, and so many young talented boys are all around, and not only in North America but in Europe as well. And to gather them all together before the championship means to check their readiness in different levels, how are they ready actually to perform on such high level of international tournament. It's very responsible to take part in 1A division world championship, and they have all the chances right now, if they will get the proper preparation with the support, I guess, of the Canadian specialists as we talked already with Brad Moran, who's the head coach and general manager for Calgary Canucks, that together with their support, they have all the chances to be promoted to the top division after their performance in Denmark. So if we will, as much focused we're gonna be during this camp, as much boys will get the experience from the Canadian specialists, as well our coaches will get more experience and as well motivation, because they will be in real hockey country. They probably will visit different kind of events, practices of other teams as well to watch, and it could help them. I pretty believe that it's going to be a huge motivation for them to show their best during the World Championship and to get the result for Ukraine as a country.
You mentioned the donation, and people are interested in donating to support to keep Ukrainian kids on the ice. There's a link we'll put on the screen when we are broadcasting this. Sportforcalgary.com/donate is one place you can donate, of course, by attending the games as well. And I'm honored personally to be a part of the broadcast of those games and to get a chance to chat with you about it. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story and to share such an impactful commentary. And we're really looking forward to being a part of the event. And we're really glad that your young players will have this opportunity to be here, and wish you and everybody there nothing but the best.
Thank you very much, Sean. We are really, really grateful. One more time, if I have such kind of chance right now, I would like to say thank you to everyone who are supporting this tour, to our partners, Hockey Calgary, Calgary Canucks. I would like to say special thank you to Gord Miller, Sandy Edmondstone, Brad Moran for helping with the organization of all the issues over there. My special huge thank you to our sponsors, the Mitchell Foundation, Kiev Capitals, Adrenaline Source for Sport, Innovex, and Tim Hortons, because without them, it will be impossible to bring team so far and together everybody over there. And my huge thank you as well to our partners and sports sponsors as well. Is HN Live TV and Show Pass and Sports for Calgary, because they're doing a huge job as well to helping us with the fundraising. Our special thank you as well to the Ministry of Youth and Sports and for the Ukrainian Canadian Congress Calgary branch for making good awareness about this event. Is really important for all of us. And yeah, it is about the hockey. It is about the good performance of hockey. But also it is a huge meaning for all the country, just to do our best to keep us free and independent country. Thank you very much.
Well, you couldn't have said it better. And again, thank you so much for taking the time. And we're with you here. And we can't wait to be a part of the event next week.
Thank you. See you soon.
And we're joined now by TSN's Gord Miller, who was awarded a Certificate of Merit by Ukraine's parliament for helping organize the tournament for the under-25 team. Gord, thanks for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So can you sort of take us through how this whole idea spawned?
Well, it began last year with friends in Ukraine, asking for help and asking for ways that North Americans could help. And the issue for Ukrainian teams is they don't have anywhere to practice or play. A number of their players are in the military, and others are scattered all over Europe and North America. So I was approached to potentially do a tour through Western Canada, and it was actually the idea of the Edmonton Oilers actually kind of put that bug in my ear. And so we had a team come over and play in university games in Saskatoon, Edmonton, Calgary, and Winnipeg. And We raised money for humanitarian and hockey causes in Ukraine and raised awareness, and it was a terrific event. And so the Ukrainians came back this year and said, their under-18 team is playing in the IHF Division 1A World Championship, which is one level below the main under-18 World Championship, and they want to make sure their team doesn't get relegated, for one thing, and they also want to make sure that their team puts on a good performance. It's very important for, from the Ukrainian perspective, to stay on the international stage. It's important to still compete internationally and not be taken off the stage. So I talked to Sandy Edmonston, who owns the Calgary Canucks of the Alberta Junior Hockey League, and he's put together 2 under-18 all-star teams that will play against the Ukrainian under-18 team. They'll train in Calgary for a week and then go to Denmark for the under-18 World Championship.
That's awesome. And what is it about this cause that sort of captured you, and how did you get so directly involved in it?
I do a lot of international hockey, and I spend a lot of time at international events, and I have friends from all over the world. It's one of the best parts of my job is to have friends from all over the world, and certainly the people that run the Ukrainian Federation are good friends that I've known for a long time. And when they ask for help, I think that all of us should do what we can to help people there and elsewhere. It's not a zero-sum game. It's not like if you help Ukraine, you can't help charities at home or help people elsewhere. But I do think that it's very extreme circumstances for the Ukrainians, and I think that when I was in Ukraine in September, I ran into a gentleman, a soldier named Alexei Lazarenko, who introduced himself to me. We were doing the ceremonial puck drop together and said, "We've met before." He said, "I played the 1995 World Junior Hockey Championship in Canada." And I said, "That Ukrainian team beat the United States. That's like one of the biggest upsets ever." He said, "Yeah, I scored the tying goal and the winning goal in that game." I said, "Lazarenko, yes, of course." And so we've stayed in touch. But his statement is simple. It's fight or die. And that's what the Ukrainians are facing. And so, a hockey tour is a very small thing, but we've raised a lot of money for humanitarian causes in Ukraine, which is important. And I think that just doing what we can is something we can all do.
I was talking to Alexandra, who's the vice president of the Ice Hockey Federation. She said, one of the main things about these tours beyond just the hockey is hope, and the idea of hope, not that life can go back to what it was, because they can't expect that at this point, but that there are positive things to come. And when you hear stuff like that, and when the response to the big crowds that came out and what it meant to Ukraine, what goes through your mind in that moment?
Well, I think it's very important for Ukrainians to know, maybe now more than ever, that we are still supporting them and we still think of them. And I think there's some fatigue with the war in Ukraine. It's been going on for more than 2 years now, and the news cycle moves on and all these things happen. But I think it's very important for us to remind Ukrainians that we are still thinking of them, and we're still, making sure that they are very much in our thoughts. And I think that's something that, might get lost in the day-to-day for Ukrainians.
Certainly. And not to get into the political side of it, but just as you mentioned, you hear more and more the way the news cycle works these days, and the conversations that go off into very strange and extreme places. Just talking to her, how much it means to have those crowds there, and it's not just about the hockey, but it's that moment to feel like we're really not alone, and that's very substantial.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think we're not alone, and we're still here. We're still standing. And I think that, Ukrainians are proud people, and they've been through a lot. And, for them, this began in 2014. This began 10 years ago when Crimea was annexed, and there's been fighting ongoing. But this full-scale invasion, is a relatively recent development. But for Ukrainians, their independence, their freedom, we value our freedom, we value our independence. It's not really threatened. We're not, we don't wake up in the morning and wonder, are we going to be overtaken by a hostile neighbor who's going to take away our freedoms and commit atrocities? We don't have to think about that. They think of that every day.
And from a hockey perspective, and this because you cover so much international hockey, if you just throw a team together that hasn't spent any time together,
Right,
and just kind of cross your fingers and hope things are going to go well, good luck, right? So how important is it for this team to get this training camp time to play a high level of hockey against the Albertan All-Star team? I mean, the difference they're going to have from that week versus just coming in cold together, I think, is monumental.
Yeah, and I think the coaches haven't seen some of these players in a year. So I mean, for the coaches to see the players, to get out of who fits with who's in good shape, who's not, who's ready to play, who's not, is really important. And I think that, for the Ukrainians, it lifts spirits in an incredible way. Their men's team played in the Division 1A World Championship and did pretty well. It's a reminder that someday things might be normal again. They'll never be the same again, but they might be somewhat normal again, and that's an important reminder.
Well, and as someone who's covered so much international hockey, there's more to it, right? I mean, this is a pretty extreme example, but is part of what makes it so exciting and such a joy to be a part of when you get to do it, is how much emotion is tied to it when you're talking about playing for your country and some of the moments that come with it versus just playing for a pro team or something of that nature.
Yeah, being on the ice in Winnipeg at the end of the last game of the tour last year was incredible. 10,000 people in the Jets arena, standing, stomping their feet, waving flags. The Ukrainian players had tears in their eyes. The University of Manitoba players had tears in their eyes. All of us did. I think the best thing about the game is the people in it and the community of hockey. And, I remember we were organizing this tour, and I'd never organized a hockey tour before. And I was sort of swimming a little bit. And Mark Chipman, the owner of the Jets, said, I hear you're bringing a team to Winnipeg. And I said, yeah. He said, well, how about you use our arena? And I said, well, we can't afford to rent your arena, and it's a pretty tight budget. He said, oh, no, we'll figure that out. And I said, Mark, I don't know if we can sell that many tickets. And he said, you don't know Manitobans very well, do you? and touche, I mean, it was incredible. Just I think that, on a day-to-day basis, when you spend time on social media and even, conventional media, you can get pretty hardened and think that the world's a pretty terrible place. And in some ways it is, but there's a lot of really good people out there. There's the vast majority of people are really, really good people who want to help others, who want to be generous to others, who have empathy for others. And I think that's the biggest thing I saw from that tour, what I see with what's happening so far with this.
You got invited to Ukraine's parliament to accept an award for helping organize that event. I mean, to go during a war, what was that experience like?
Well, I was honored. I mean, a lot of people did a lot of work to make that tour happen last year, and I felt like I was representing them. I don't feel like it should be one person getting recognized, but I would say that there was a dichotomy in Ukraine of, it's obvious the war is going on. There's missile attacks and air raid sirens, and there's the ongoing fighting. But at the same time, there are kids playing soccer in fields and young couples walking hand in hand by the river and people going to outdoor cafes. I mean, in some ways it could be any, Kyiv or Kremenchuk or Lviv could be any European city, but they're not. And I was struck by that, but I think I was struck most by the determination of the Ukrainian people to have outsiders see what's really happening there and what has really happened. And I think that not through the filter of a lot of manipulated media and misinformation on social media, but to see what's really happening there is really eye-opening. And to see the resilience, the courage, and the determination of the Ukrainian people.
Just quickly on international hockey broadly, I mean, it's been a period of a lot of turmoil and transition. COVID, of course, everything that's happened with Russia, the lack of participation in the Olympics. Where do you feel like international hockey is? Is it a turning point now? The NHL is going back to the Olympic Games. COVID's a little bit more in our rearview mirror, and we're seeing more active international participation again. What's your feel on where the game is right now?
Well, I think one of the key questions is, what's going to happen to Russia in international hockey? And, Russian athletes are going to be allowed to compete in the Paris Olympics, a few of them, as individuals, not teams. As it stands right now, Russian teams are suspended by the IHF through the end of 2024, I believe, or maybe even 25 now. So will a Russian team be allowed to play in the Olympics in Italy in 2026? I don't believe so. Not as long as there's still Russian soldiers there, and it's going to be a long time before Russia is readmitted to play in international events, simply because Europeans want nothing to do with it. The security costs, the danger presented by having Russian teams compete on European soil would be more than most organizers would be wanting to deal with, which is why those Russian athletes, those handful of Russian athletes who do compete in Paris, will not march in the opening ceremony and may not march in the closing ceremony, simply because of the security concerns.
The biggest event probably that you do every year is the World Juniors. And of course, it went, through a difficult time during COVID, as did every kind of major live event. Where do you think that tournament's at right now? Is it getting closer to, that high level that we've been at before?
Well, it was certainly, tremendous tournament in Sweden, great crowds, excellent players. The Russians hadn't won a gold medal at the World Juniors since 2011. So, but they're a power, obviously, and they've got good players. But I think that, in the larger scheme of things, I don't think it would be reasonable or even thinkable to say, well, to make the tournament better, we got to let the Russians back in. The Russians can't be back in until they're out of Ukraine. And I think that's going to be a long time. It could be, it could be past the end of this decade before we see Russian teams internationally again. If I had to guess, I would say that we will not see Russian teams compete internationally before 2030. And that's 6 years away.
It's hard to imagine getting to that point, really, because the aggression would have to end. And how do we see a time when that occurs? Because it's been creeping up rather than creeping down, right?
Yeah. I don't see it happening anytime soon. But obviously things can change, and there are those that would like to see it. But the attitude in Europe is very different than the attitude in North America. They're living next to this conflict, and so the attitude there is very different than what we see from some quarters in North America.
Certainly. Well, I've taken a lot of your time, but just for the fans in the Calgary area or around Alberta that could attend the games for the U18 Ukraine team against the Albertan All-Stars, what would sort of be your message to them? Why it would be a good event to attend, both from a hockey perspective, but just sending the right message.
Get there in time for the Ukrainian anthem, because it is. When you see it in person, when you see it sung, and you see the players lined up on the blue line, and you hear the fans singing it, it's an experience you won't forget. That alone is an experience you won't forget. But also a chance to see, some top level hockey and see some terrific hockey players. So the people of Alberta were tremendous last year, and I have no doubt they'll be the same way this year. And I'm a proud Albertan, and I'm looking forward to see how it turns out.
All right, thanks a lot, Gord. Really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us about it today.
My pleasure, Sean.
We're joined now by the president and chairman of the board of the Calgary Canucks, Sandy Edmonstone, and head coach and general manager Brad Moran. Thank you guys for taking some time to chat today.
Thanks for having us, Sean.
Hosting the U18 Ukrainian team. They're having a training camp, and they're taking on an Albertan All-Star squad on March 27th and March 30th at the Max Bell Arena and on HN Live. Just sort of talk us through, how this came together and how you guys got involved in it.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. It's actually, the hockey world is a pretty small world. This was born out of the Battle of Alberta Evening with Legends event that we hosted with Mark Messier, Lanny McDonald, and Gord Miller in September of 2023. Gord Miller has been heavily involved with the Ukrainian Ice Hockey Federation, hosted a U25 event last year. About 2 months ago, Gord picked up the phone and called me and asked if we could help out. The vast majority of the ice facilities in the Ukraine have been destroyed. First time the U18 programs have been invited to the Division 1A championship, and they didn't have an ability to host a training camp or have an exhibition series. So Gord called, and Canucks are a community-owned team. We don't survive without the community, and when we can give back to the community, we jumped at the chance. So that's how this was initiated.
Certainly, I mean, when you hear the stories, right, and you start to talk to those involved, it's extraordinarily powerful. I mean, to hear, what's happened to the arenas and to hear the impact that sport still has on people who are trying to live as normal a life as they can under those circumstances. Um, those conversations must have been moving for you guys as well when you've heard them.
Yeah, it's pretty horrific when you get into the details of what's going on, and for any country or any culture, it would be devastating. People being separated from their fathers because they're not allowed to leave the country because they have to fight a war, and it's just things that an average North American would never have to think about is at the forefront. So when you realize what's at stake and you realize the unity that this can bring, not just to a Ukrainian community in Alberta or Canada, but to a country, and the development that we can help these young athletes with pursue their dreams, it's a privilege to be able to be involved.
Brad, as a coach, as a hockey guy who played at a real high level, I mean, and I'm sure you can imagine for these players who have been all separated across different teams throughout North America, throughout Europe, I mean, with no opportunity to play together, to then try and be a team at a world championship would have been quite a task. So how important is it from a hockey perspective for these guys to be able to get together, have a training camp, have these exhibition games in order to be ready for the world championship?
I think it's huge. I think, it's one thing to get there and to show up and put a jersey on and not be prepared or not just be there, and it doesn't look good. I think for them to be able to put in some time, have the coaches get to know the players, pick the team a little bit versus, hey, here's our 20 guys, and instill some systems, work on some video. They're very keen to get on the ice and put that work in, and then take that into their next training camp where they can actually prepare and then enjoy the tournament and be successful, not just be a part of it.
What can we expect from the games themselves? I mean, you guys would have some sense of the teams that are being built and what that competition might be like and how much fun that'll be to watch.
I think it's going to be high-end U18 hockey. I know for them to be at the level and the tournament they're in, there's going to be good players. We know a couple of the kids at the camp that are in the Hockey Calgary system. Just knowing where some of the other kids have played, I expect some fast-paced games, and we can hopefully push them, and the goal would be to help them prepare as much as we can.
Sean, I'm worried our Alberta boys aren't going to be prepared. They're not going to have skated together. There's going to be 2,000 or 2,500 fans here, probably 200 Ukrainian flags. And if these Alberta boys aren't prepared, there's a lot of incentive and motivation on that Ukrainian bench to compete. So I really do hope the guys from Alberta are prepared for this.
You mentioned what the atmosphere is going to be like and could be like. I mean, we saw when the U25 Ukrainian team was touring across the country last year, what the atmosphere was like. I talked to Gordon Miller about that as well. He'll be on HN Live today this week, and just what that experience was like. What are you guys expecting from an atmosphere perspective, and how important is that for sending the right kind of message to the people of Ukraine, not just from a hockey side, but everywhere? That I know, in speaking to Alexandra from their ice hockey federation, that's a big part of it for them to feel like they're not alone in this fight, that they have people still supporting them and standing with them.
Yeah, Sean, I think that it's going to be pretty significant. We have no idea how many are going to be attending fans yet. The response so far has been very positive. We've seen great support from the Ukrainian community for the Canucks playoff games. It's been interesting, the relationship that's been built. The Ukrainian Canadian Congress, Calgary branch, has been instrumental in promoting this in the Ukrainian community. The Calgary Flames have come on as a partner to this event. They're going to be promoting through their social media and in-game announcements. We're expecting a pretty big crowd both nights, and I know there's plans for at least 200 Ukrainian flags. So Max Bell probably won't have seen a crowd like this in a real long time.
What do you think it is, the message it does send to the people of Ukraine, to the hockey community there, but just the community in general there, what you guys are trying to do as a part of this group that's putting on this event?
I think Sandy mentioned it. It shows some camaraderie and support that they're not alone. Hopefully they can get on the ice, the kids get a bit of an escape and focus on that, but to go play the games and know all the people that are behind them and rooting for them and just in our thoughts and on a day-to-day basis, I think that can be lost in a situation like this.
The NHL proved hockey's borderless, 30 years ago. I think Sergei Makarov is one of the first NHLers and happened to be in Calgary. We're just continuing that tradition and we're with the people of Ukraine.
Well, and as a franchise that's in the midst of a playoff run yourselves, I mean, is there an element too where your players getting to be around this and your organization getting to be around this, for them, I'm sure you're as fired up as you're going to be at any time of the year when you're in the middle of a playoff push, but, to see what these players have gone through and to be surrounded by that, if you take for granted your ability to play for the game at all, that moment would cause you to not, I would expect for your guys.
I agree. I think it really makes our players appreciate how well we have it and that the small things are nothing to worry about. You get to come here without a threat of anything every day, get to play hockey, and it puts it into perspective that how fortunate we really are.
The broadcast will be available on hnlive.ca as well. But for the folks who are in and around the Calgary area, if they're interested in getting to this game on the 27th and on the 30th, on supporting the U18 Ukraine team and the U18 Alberta All-Star team, how can they get to the game? How can they be a part of this?
You can go to our website, calgarycanucks.ca. There's a poster there that you can scan the QR code and it'll direct you to Show Pass where you can get tickets. You can also attend at the gate and purchase a ticket. And those are the best ways to facilitate entrance.
And I believe there's some fundraising element as well, right, for Ukraine minor sport?
Yes. So all proceeds to this game go to Hockey for Ukraine, the U18 initiative. There's also a fundraising aspect through Sport for Calgary Foundation. You can go to their website. There's a QR code on our website, on the poster, on social media. You can get a tax receipt, charitable tax receipt for all donations through that website. So, we've had a really good response to that, and support comes in all different ways. It's time, it's financial, and it's the emotional support that will be in the arena for these players.
Well, I know it's going to be a powerful couple of days, and I'm looking forward very much to being able to be part of it, and appreciate you guys and the entire organizing committee who've put this event on. I think it's a wonderful initiative, and I appreciate you taking the time to chat today.
I appreciate you having us. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. I just want to acknowledge HN Live. What HN Live's doing here is pretty awesome. Family of these players will be able to watch them play. The Ukrainian community will be able to tune in, and we really, really are grateful for HN Live participating. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and best of luck in Game 6 in Grand Prairie, and good luck the rest of the playoffs.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Have a great day.
Take care.